Well, we have a pretty decent storm moving toward the northeast. That's going to bring the potential for some heavy snow, and another storm headed toward the west coast. This could be a big storm that really impacts a lot of people. And I gotta tell you, things look crazy wild as we head through the rest of February into March when we look at the long term. So much so that I think the worst of winter is still yet to come. Hey guys, welcome to the video today. A lot of new folks stopping by, so welcome. My name is Travis Roberts. I'm a former TV chief meteorologist, and I always love winter forecasting. So if you do, I think you'll like this channel, and we'll see how it goes. This may be something that we continue through the spring and summer as we get into severe weather season, and you never know. I always love reading your comments, and I've been reading some of them, and it amazes me the people that say they want it to snow in places where it normally doesn't snow. And I get it, even in places where we normally get snow, maybe you're not getting snow. Some people are sick of the snow. And it really had me thinking pretty much all day, would you consider moving to a place where there's a lot of snow? Like maybe the Rockies, maybe the Sierra Nevada, the Cascades. I've got a friend that moved to northern Maine, and there's always snow on the ground, it seems like. Or if you live in these colder areas, would you move to Florida? I've actually thought that before winter snuck up and I didn't make it to Florida. So let me know down below, would you move because of the weather, or have you moved because of the weather? I love reading your comments. I can't wait to check these out. All right, let's get into the very active weather pattern that we're dealing with. Big rains moving through the south again as we move into your Saturday. Flood watch is up for many of these areas. Weather.gov is where you need to go to get any emergency information like flood warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings. There's also going to be a severe weather day tomorrow, I think, across the south. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center highlighting this area for a marginal risk and a highlighted area of slight risk here across central Alabama, even in the panhandle of Florida. There's even a tornado risk here too, so be weather aware in these areas heading into Saturday. There's your flood watches up from Alabama all the way up into Ohio and West Virginia into the Appalachians. And winter storm watches have already been posted here across parts of the Northeast, mainly in the higher elevations, for heavy snow this weekend. Actually, more like Sunday into Sunday night. But let's break that down. Low pressure moving into the Northeast. And then this is the GFS. I'm going to show you a couple of different models because there's a lot of disagreement here. On the north side of that showing snow, I don't think we see snow in New York with this. I think we're mostly rain. We're going to get a lot of onshore flow, and it's very marginal for snow. With that said, I think most of the snow will be falling in the interior areas, mainly north of I-84. Northern Connecticut into Massachusetts, mostly. Hartford, I think we see a rain-snow mix and then eventually just some rain, and then it all may end as snow all the way down to the coast as we head into early Monday morning as that cold air aloft moves through. Actually, it's an upper level trough. The atmosphere literally gets thinner, and as it does so, we cool down and we see everything shift to snow as everything wraps up. A place where we could see some decent accumulating snows that could surprise, I think, and maybe a little heavier, the Appalachian Mountains. Some upslope snow here, really combining with that thinner and colder air moving across with that trough, so we could see some snow showers lingering into Monday morning, and that could all impact the morning commute here from the Northeast down, even into the mountains, West Virginia, and North Carolina. And again, a lot of rain expected with this system, over an inch, maybe even 2 inches in some areas. And here's your snow output on the GFS. Again, I don't think we're going to see this here along the coast. I'm going to shift it over to the NAM model, which I think is a little more accurate, even than European at this point. The GFS also showing some lighter snows back toward Ohio. Here's the European. It's a little further west with the main low, and then as it moves to the north, we see our surface low take over here across the Chesapeake Bay, moving toward the northeast, just off the northeast coast. And with the resolution also, it's showing that rain-snow mix. And it's really elevation dependent. So here's the Hudson River. You get up into the mountains, you get snow. Then we turn a little bit colder as that low starts to move past, and then we may see a brief period of some heavier snow here into the mountains of Vermont, New Hampshire, even Massachusetts, snowed back into the Appalachians too with that trough moving through, and then into Maine, parts of Maine. And then it really moves offshore pretty quickly as we head into Monday night and Tuesday morning. The European model, a little heavier with some of the snow here, mainly again north of I-84 into the higher elevations. I think it may actually be overdoing it just a little bit here in Connecticut. The NAM model, I feel pretty good about this. Now, I don't know about this area. That's the thing. The NAM is much colder and has a lot more moisture back across Indiana and Ohio. It's trying to put down a couple of inches here, and then as it moves into the northeast, I think this rain-snow line looks pretty good right here. So say from Windsor Locks north, Springfield north, get back into the mountains here in the higher elevations of Massachusetts and Vermont, and then into New York to the Adirondacks. And then as that system pulls away, we see some colder air move in. I think we see snow showers all the way down to the big cities. And that would be Philadelphia and New York, even into Boston. And Boston may actually stay snow a little bit longer. Massachusetts, West of that and then north is the best area to see snow, and then down into the Appalachians. Here's a look at those snow totals on the NAM. Higher amounts here into the Appalachians, and there's that heavier band of snow from southern New York, northern Pennsylvania, across over toward, again, Massachusetts, and then up into Vermont, and then even into Maine. I think a couple of inches here. National Forecast Database from the National Weather Service. These numbers are much lower. I think we'll see some revisions here over the next 24 hours. I've been reading forecast discussions out of Boston, out of New York, out of parts of Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania. And there's a lot of questions still, even at this point, because temperatures will be so marginal. I'll try to keep you updated this weekend. If something comes up, I may even do a random update. I normally do these in the evening, so you may get some odd hour updates this weekend. So subscribe to get those notifications as they come out. Once this system moves away, we're watching another. This looks like a clipper system, a shortwave diving to the southeast, also a little bit of surface low pressure here as well. And that's going to bring some rain and snow here across the Great Lakes, diving toward the Appalachians. And it's warm enough that we literally could see rain with this system into places like Cincinnati before we change over to snow. Huntington, West Virginia looks like some rain mixing in. And then, again, we see some snow here into the mountains. It's going to be an elevation snow event with this one as well. And that could bring a couple of inches, though, I think, especially into the mountains. And then further to the north and west, the GFS picking up on that, too. A couple of inches here, so it's maybe from Green Bay over to Madison, and then down into parts of southern Michigan, northeastern parts of Indiana, Ohio, and then it really tapers off. And you saw that warm air mixing in. I think that's going to be the limiting factor here across southeast Ohio, really from Columbus and southeast down towards the Ohio River, over towards Cincinnati. But once you move up in elevation out of Charleston, head down towards Beckley, you get down into southwest Virginia, you get into the mountains of North Carolina, we see snow. Will it spill east of the mountains toward Roanoke? I don't know. I think it's going to have a hard time doing that just because of the warmth. We may see more rain than snow. And then we look to the west by Thursday and Friday. Storm slams into the west coast, heavy mountain snow, a tremendous amount of rain, flooding rains possible, and that rain and snow will move inland even toward the center part of the country as we move into Saturday. Look at these snow totals. We're talking more than 3 to 4 feet in some areas over the next week into the Sierra Nevada, south into the parts of the higher elevations of Southern California as well. Heavy snow as far inland as the mountains of New Mexico and Arizona, Utah up to the Wasatch, into the Rockies eventually, and a lot of the Intermountain West seeing a ton of snow over the next week. That onshore flow is just going to dump the precipitation, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain in areas that do not need it. We just had flooding in Southern California, another round of rain on the way as we wrap up the weekend into next week. But now let's talk about the long term. I started the video off talking about how I think it's going to turn colder and it's going to get stormier than ever, and here's why. So as we head into the first week of February, I think we stay relatively warm, at least above average in some areas, but look what happens. This pattern really shifts up once we move around the 10th and the 11th of February, as we see a lobe of low pressure in the upper level start to develop here. And this right here, guys, I've been talking about this in my videos now for the last couple of days, really even weeks. This pattern looks to set up and last into March. That's a northwest flow pattern. And in fact, look how long it persists. The European weeklies take us all the way out now into almost the middle of March. And this is the control run of the European weeklies. Look how wild this is. And we're not going to track any particular storm, but I want to show you the pattern. You saw that northwest flow. I think that's going to set up as we move around the 10th of February or so. Storm after storm after storm, and then there's that northwest flow, cold in the east, multiple chances for storms. With this pattern, that's what you want to look at long term, not necessarily individual storms. The pattern says cold and snowy. That's why I think that the worst of winter is yet to come. Now, once you get into February, late February into March, you do get warmer days because of the higher sun angle. You start to fight against that, but this pattern combined with that warmer weather could mean stronger storms because you get that stronger difference in temperature where you get stronger sun angles and warmer temperatures. That baroclinicity feeds the fuel of a storm. All right, that's all I got for this video. A lot to talk about and a lot going on. And remember, leave me a comment down below. I asked, would you move or have you ever moved because of the weather? Whether you want snow or you are sick of the snow or you are sick of the clouds, you went to the desert, you were tired of the desert, you went to where it rains. Let me know in your comments. Can't wait to check it out. I'll see you there.